User permissions in Brokerment are used to set the level of access you would like each user to have. This can be done on step 2 of creating a new user or by managing a pre-existing user's permission within their specific account. You can learn about creating a new user and then managing that user once it's created in the corresponding lessons. When the Can See Individual Pipeline checkbox is marked, the user has access to their individual sales pipeline under the Overview tab. The pipeline is displayed as a funnel and for agents becomes an individual pipeline displaying the metrics for my net income or my sales volume. For admins and owners who have access to all commission data, it will also show office metrics for total office net, office sales volume, and office gross. The Can See Company Reports checkbox, when marked for a user, allows them to access all of the company reports. Please note, there's no way to restrict users from seeing specific reports. They'll be able to access them all, or they won't have access to any. Any contact that a user creates in Brokerment is public by that user regardless of what is set as the Available To status in step 1 of creating a contact. When Can Access Private Contacts is enabled, a user will be able to access both public contacts and contacts with an Available To status set as Me Only Private. If Can Access Private Contacts is enabled, you'll also see the Can Manage Private Contacts checkbox. If marked, the user can make edits to any private contacts information. If the Can Create Transactions permission is marked, the user will be able to create new transactions in Brokerment. When Can Edit Transactions is marked, the user can edit a transaction by selecting Edit under the Edit link within an appropriate transaction. The transaction type, along with the address, price, listing, expiration, acceptance, and closing dates can all be changed. They are also able to edit any additional fields that display. The Can Delete Transaction checkbox gives the user the ability to delete transactions. This will be an available option when selecting Delete under the Edit link within an appropriate transaction. Please note that when a user deletes all transaction assets, including documents, offers, checklists, and activity, they'll still be fully available and recoverable in the activity log of the transaction. We only recommend this option be enabled for 1 or 2 users, though, in Brokerment. If Can Cancel Transactions is marked for a user, they have the ability to cancel transactions. When a transaction is canceled, any information within the transaction, such as the documents, signed forms, etc., will be kept, but the transaction won't be able to close and process. This option is commonly marked for agents so that they can cancel a transaction when listings expire or when multiple offers need to be canceled. When Can Access All Company Transactions is marked for a user, they'll have access to all transactions within the company. When left unmarked, they'll only have access to the transactions they're participating in. Keep in mind, not all agents will need to see every transaction for the company. The Can Change Transaction Checklist checkbox gives the user the permission to edit or remove items for the checklist assigned to a transaction. When this option is left unmarked, the agent will still be able to add a checklist to a transaction and will be able to add additional tasks to the list, but won't be able to modify any tasks. If the Can Close Transaction option is enabled, the user can close completed transactions. All items will have to be submitted and in an approved status before it will close. This option is typically only enabled for a few users in Brokerment since closing a transaction is a critical step. Closing will automatically process the commission plans, email all transaction participants, set a closing date, and more. If the above checkbox is marked, an additional option, Can Close Not Approved Transactions, is also available. If this option is enabled, the user can set a transaction status as closed for transactions with incomplete items. Please note that this option being enabled is rare since we want to make sure every checklist item of a transaction is submitted, reviewed, and approved for compliance. If Can Reopen Transactions is checked, the user will be able to open already closed transactions. The Can Move Transactions checkbox allows the user to move transactions between multiple locations or sub-accounts if several offices have been set up within Brokerment. When a transaction is moved, users assigned to this transaction will be given access to this account if they don't have access to it yet. Users who do have access to different sub-accounts may have a different level of permission set. The checkbox Can Access Transaction Commissions allows users to access the commission section at the transaction level. Since this would allow an agent user to open the commission page and then modify it, this is typically left unmarked. Marking this checkbox will also open the following permissions: Can Generate CDA, and if marked, the user will be able to generate a CDA or Commission Disbursement Authorization form to send to a title or escrow company as disbursement instructions. The Can Change Award Distribution checkbox gives the user the ability to change the award number or gross income within the commission on a transaction. And when the Can Finalize Commission checkbox is marked, the user can finalize the commission on a transaction. When Can Share Transactions is enabled, the user can share the transaction details through email with the seller. The seller will receive a link to the details and the user will be able to determine what details are shared. The Can Access Account Activity checkbox allows the user to access the activity log of the company. Please note that when this is marked for a user, they will have access to the activity option under the Overview tab that will display everything that's happening in Brokerment. You'll want to keep in mind that not all agents will need to see the company's activity log since this includes information regarding all users and contact activity within your Brokerment account. The checkbox for Can Access Library allows the users to use forms and e-signature templates. They'll be able to access all folders and documents when navigating to Library under the Overview tab and will even have access to download each document. When Can Access Library is enabled, the option Can Manage Library is also available. If marked, the user can create, edit, or delete e-signature templates and will have full access to create, edit, and delete documents and folders within the company library. If the Can Approve Documents checkbox is marked, the user can access the Approve Docs section where admins can review submitted documents. This area of Brokerment houses all documents that have been submitted for review and approval to the compliance team. When Can Submit Transactions for Approval is enabled, users are allowed to submit transactions for review. All documents will have to be uploaded and are set as exemptions before submitting. The option for Can Submit Individual Documents will also be available if Can Submit Transactions for Approval is marked. When marking this checkbox, the user can submit individual documents for review within a checklist on a transaction. If left unmarked, the user will need to make sure every single task within the checklist is completed before submitting documents for review. The Can Manage Company Settings checkbox is rarely enabled since this will allow a user to access the company's settings section where certain aspects of Brokerment are set up. However, when enabled, the following checkboxes are also available. The Can Edit Company Info checkbox gives the user the ability to change company information. This user will be able to access the company option under the Settings tab where the logo, company name, and company address will be changed. When the Can Manage Users checkbox is enabled, the user will have the ability to invite other users to the system. This also will allow the user to modify and deactivate other users in the system as well. The Can Manage Checklist Templates option gives the user the ability to create, edit, and delete checklist templates. If Can Manage Fields is marked, the user will have the ability to create, edit, and delete fields under the Fields option from the Settings tab. If the Can Manage Commission Plans checkbox is marked, the user has the ability to set up commission plans. This is typically enabled for users on the accounting team and commission compliance team, since they will be the ones usually creating new commission plans that'll calculate the payout for agents. And last, when the Can Manage dashboard permission is enabled, the user will have the ability to not only access the dashboard under the Overview tab, but will also have the ability to work with the dashboard, allowing them to add, edit, or delete dashboard widgets for all users. If the Can Access Accounting checkbox is marked, the user has full access to work with accounting. This is another option typically only marked for a select few users, since this is where they will manage and create the charge of accounts, see and edit the agent ledgers, and more. And last, when the above checkbox is enabled for a user, the Can Manage Agent Billing permission is available. Marking this checkbox gives the user the ability to manage payment methods and charges on behalf of the agency. If there's any permissions listed above that you aren't seeing when you log in, but you should have them enabled, please reach out to your local admin or broker in charge to have them turned on for you.